Good morning, besties. It's about 5:45 in the morning and I wasn't able to sleep. So I wanted to come and talk to you about something disturbing that I discovered yesterday. So brace yourself. Um, I don't know why this isn't all over the news or something. Like I found out about this through my husband who found out about it on Twitter. But oh, this is the wrong tab. Okay, this is the deal. Some days ago, I think it was last week. Toxic chemicals leave health concerns for Ohio residents returning after a train crash. So what happened was, let's see, it's not saying the date on this, but 50 train cars on a Norfolk Southern Railroad train derailed. And this train was apparently carrying deadly chemicals that were not labeled correctly to save money. Like it wasn't labeled as hazardous waste. And so when this train derailed, those things were not like properly contained or anything. And some of these chemicals were vinyl chloride, phosgene, hydrogen chloride, and other gases. And then the cars caught on fire. And my husband was telling me that there were reports that the police were actually setting these chemicals on fire to prevent worse spread. But I don't know, that's kind of weird, right? Because doesn't that just put all of those chemicals into the air? And so what so this is what happened. So yesterday morning, my husband was telling me about this on the couch, and he was telling me how the air in this area, which is called East Palestine, Ohio, which I think is just such an interesting name, like religiously, that I don't know. I'm not done thinking about it. If you have thoughts about that, I want to hear them. I just always think it's really interesting when notable things happen in America in cities that are named after like biblically important areas, you know? But here he's talking about how this fox keeper's foxes are dying and getting really sick. My husband was telling me that all the chickens in the surrounding towns died overnight after this crash. So here's this picture of it. And yeah, the disaster was largely overlooked in the wake of news about the military shooting down the Chinese spy balloon. Okay. So I don't know, interesting. It's all just really interesting. The Ohio Department of Agriculture assured residents that conditions are safe and that livestock do not have any real risks. Oh my goodness. Hello. Okay. This is the story about a guy who was in a movie about um, the movie White Noise, which I have not seen or even heard of before today, but it's about fleeing an airborne toxic event. And so this family, uh, you know, they were at a basketball game or something when the train fell off the tracks and started catching on fire. But then when he exited, he saw the flames and like took a picture of this giant blaze. There he goes. He shot a few seconds of video on his cell phone. And their house sits less than a mile from the crash site. Sorry, this family was in the movie White Noise. That's why. So they say it's like extra scary for them because they already like did this movie about the risks of airborne toxic events. Okay, half of the town's 4,800 residents had to evacuate. And what my husband said yesterday was that it was like a mini Chernobyl. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I don't think it's obviously quite that bad, but it is still kind of a big deal. So this all reminded me of something else. But first, I will say that when my husband told me about this, I actually started to cry because I remembered suddenly that I had a dream about this when I was 14 years old. In my dream, I was in like the Mid-East of America, you know, like Ohio area. And there were these like teenagers that knew that acid rain was coming and that it was going to kill them, and they were running for shelter, and it was like such a vivid dream. When my husband was telling me this, I just started to cry, and I felt like, oh my gosh, like my dreams are coming true. Like all of those things I have had visions of and dreams for my whole life, like they're happening like now, like that is probably the first dream that I had that like now I know it like truly has happened. It has happened now. And so I don't know, maybe sometime I will do a series on all the weird stuff that I have dreamed about in my life. But okay, so let me find my other resource that I was going to share with you guys. Okay, so this is a guy whose name is John Trachik, I think. I don't know how to say his name. So he is over here, and he has written a lot about train derailment. That's the guy. And I don't know, I don't agree with everything that he writes or something, but I do follow him just to see what he's saying about stuff. And this is what he is all about right now, is that the earth is moving and tracks are shifting. Okay. And so he's been covering train car derailment. I don't know if you guys saw the stuff about that giant series of earthquakes in Turkey. Let's see, earthquakes in Turkey. Okay. Okay, look at that. Over 28,000 people are dead from the quakes in Turkey and Syria. Okay, so oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, like the stuff going on in there has just been absolutely horrifying, and I've kind of been keeping like a loose eye on it. But the earth, I do think the earth is shifting. I think that we're in for some really big changes in the structure of the earth. And for me personally, I believe it's all preparatory for the second coming. Okay, because before Jesus can come back to the earth has to raise its vibration, because Jesus is the highest vibrating being that, exists basically. And so as the earth upgrades its vibration, I believe that that's going to involve a lot of earthquakes and a lot of earth shifting. Now, this guy is talking a lot about this train car derailment. And so I actually went ahead and like asked how many train car derailments are normal? Like what is normal for train car derailments? And what I found is that it's actually like quite common, and there's usually like at least 1,000 of them a year, I understand. And so, I don't know, train car derailments happen. So I don't want to say like, oh, this is super unusual. Wow, it's definitely because the earth is shifting. We don't know that, I don't think that's reasonable to say when train car derailments are pretty common. But what I do think is interesting is, I mean, the timing of it is certainly interesting. The fact that I dreamed about it, or like dreamed about something very similar to this years ago, like, is interesting to me. It disturbs me that a company would try and cut corners this way to transport hazardous waste without alerting people to that. And I guess I shouldn't say that, because I didn't fully investigate that claim myself. That's just me parroting what my husband read on Twitter, but I think that's certainly possible. And in this current economic climate, I think we're going to see a lot more companies taking shortcuts in order to save on their bottom line. And sometimes it can lead to serious harm for lots of people. And because our lives are so safe, we just think that won't happen to us. But like, sometimes it does. Sometimes you live in East Palestine, Ohio, when the train car derails and you suddenly can't go outside because the air is full of acid that will, mess with your health and kill all your chickens. So I also think it's interesting how the media is really silent about this situation. And I think it's really interesting how the government, so apparently the EPA has like not gotten very involved at all, which is interesting, because they're very willing to be involved about all sorts of things, but apparently not this. And the Ohio Department of Agriculture has been saying that it's super safe, guys, super safe. The reason why it was compared to Chernobyl was because when Chernobyl happened, nobody was evacuated for days. And then they evacuated like this little area, and then like had to evacuate bigger. And it was like a truly dangerous situation, and people really paid for that with their health and with their lives. And so we'll just have to see how this thing plays out. But hearing about it and remembering my dream, I thought, oh my goodness, the roller coaster is here. It's here, guys. So we'll see what happens. Again, train derailments are kind of normal. This is one thought that I've been having about the things that are coming up at this time, because Pluto is entering Aquarius in March. We have 37 days from today until March and until Pluto enters Aquarius. And I think we're going to see some really, really big changes on a societal level. We're already seeing them. Yesterday, I tried Chat GPT for the first time, and I was stunned and horrified, shocked and dismayed at its capabilities. I think we're going to see massive societal restructuring as AI replaces many, many white collar jobs. Like, I hope that you have skills. I mean, like, I hope I have skills, you know, like I have my healing work, and that's like really good. And healing work is very necessary and good, and people will always want to barter for that. But I don't know that that's going to replace the need. I mean, like, we're still going to need skills like plumbing and like building stuff and being able to make things. These are the things that right now AI can't replace. And maybe someday it will be able to replace. I was just reading a thing about how AI can use a 3D printer to print you a house, you know, and like people don't have to build it. And so we'll just have to see how much AI can replace of human labor. But this is the time to prepare for that and to start taking steps personally to prepare for the massive shifts that are going to be taking place very soon. So I am working on thinking about that and thinking about what are the practical things that a normal person can do to prepare for this shift. Oh man, there's so much to be said about that, but enough for today. That's what's going on in Ohio, and I just wanted to let you guys know about it. The earth is changing, and we'll have to see what happens next. Okay, see you later, guys.